You've heard of Batman, but if you're not into comics, you might be unfamiliar with Arkham Asylum. The iconic psychiatric hospital has housed just about every villain Batman has ever tangled with at some point, and now it's also the setting for a superb third-person action game. As Batman, you get to go toe-to-toe with thugs in fast-paced punch-ups, employ satisfying stealth tactics, play with great gadgets, solve some remarkable riddles, and do a decent amount of detective work. In short, you get to do just about everything you want to do when you don a Batman costume in a game. Batman has captured Joker, and as the lengthy intro sequence plays out, you see him being returned to Arkham under Batman's watchful eye. Joker doesn't seem at all perturbed by his predicament, and it quickly becomes apparent that his capture is part of a grand plan to throw a party at Arkham with Batman as the guest of honor. It's obviously a trap, but as Batman, it's not one that you can just walk away from.
I'm now subbing for the old man.
Old Sharp has never been happier.
In case you ain't figured it out, today is the Joker's big homecoming and you're the guest of honor.
Joker throws a bunch of his goons at you almost as soon as you start playing, and you're encouraged to knock them all out using basic attacks and counters. Stringing together lengthy combos is pretty easy, and the action is so well animated you'll think the fights were choreographed. Initially you can get by just mashing the attack button and tapping the counter button anytime you spot an enemy with a big "I'm about to attack you" icon over his head. But later you'll encounter thugs with knives, cattle prods and guns, who force you to raise your game and incorporate additional moves into your repertoire. The combat never gets complicated, even though the number of moves and attacks at your disposal increases quite dramatically as you progress through story mode. Fighting against mobs of a dozen or so enemies is awesome, and though they're not smart enough to all just jump you, they're not totally stupid either. Give them time and they'll look around the environment for stuff they can use as weapons. The biggest advantage that you have over them, other than, the fact that you're Batman, is that you're able to use your surroundings.
Oh, put yourselves together! Looks like a bunch of little girlies. Did you really think it was gonna be...
During big set-piece encounters, many of which can be replayed against the clock in challenge mode, using the environment to your advantage is pretty much a requirement. Going toe-to-toe in these situations is not an option, because all of the enemies are armed, and even Batman can't outsmart a bullet. So you need to be smart. Think like Batman, and take out enemies when they least suspect it. There are loads of different ways to do this, including a number that involve dropping down onto enemies from above. That's a satisfying way to knock a thug out for sure. But what's even more satisfying is moving around on the ground and setting traps with explosives, destructible walls, and stuff like that. And it's not as hard as you might think to play that way, because using detective vision mode, you're able to see through walls. This means you can move around quickly without needing to peek around every corner, which keeps the stealth-style gameplay fast-paced and lots of fun.
Oracle, I'm heading into Croc's lair to collect the plant spores Ivy spoke about. He's in some kind of old sewer network. Send me the schematics, it's like a maze down here.
The voice acting is great, and it doesn't falter for a second. Mark Hamill's Joker is a standout, but there are great performances from other characters too.
B-Man! Mr. J doesn't want you following us just yet.
One character that you hear a lot from is the Riddler, who has hidden no fewer than 240 riddles for you to solve all over Arkham Island. Most of them don't actually involve riddles per se, but they're still really satisfying to solve by finding hidden objects. The best are the proper riddles though, where you're given a cryptic clue and have to find an item to take a picture of. A lot of the time it's an item associated with a supervillain, but sometimes the item is a painted question mark that can only be seen using detective vision and from a very specific location. The punctuation marks in question are painted in two parts, at different locations that are often quite far apart. So the solution requires that you find both parts and figure out where to take the photo from so that they line up perfectly. It's clever and compelling stuff, though it does encourage you to spend more time than you'd otherwise want to in detective vision mode. In fact, there's a good chance that you'll spend the majority of your time with Arkham Asylum in detective vision mode, even if you're not looking for the hidden question marks. In regular vision mode, you just get to see that this is a great looking game with superb animation, excellent lighting, and impressive attention to detail. But switch to detective vision, and you can immediately spot destructible surfaces, more easily locate hidden items, and spot enemies through walls. If you're a fan of Batman comic books, you'll find plenty of nods and winks to Arkham inmates who don't actually appear in the game. You shouldn't feel intimidated if you're not that familiar with Batman though, because the game does a great job of giving you all the information that you need to know, as well as plenty that you don't. Taking the time to read Harley Quinn's bio and listen to her patient interviews helps you to understand her motivations in the game, for example. While unlockable information on characters who haven't been seen in ages just adds a little flavor. More significant unlockable content comes in the form of 8 challenge maps, which come in regular and extreme difficulties for a total of 16. The maps are based on areas that you visit in story mode, and the challenges are split 50-50 between purely combat-oriented sequences and stealth-based gameplay. You complete challenges against the clock and are awarded medals for taking down enemies in specific ways in each level. Challenge mode isn't only a way for you to replay some of the best sequences from story mode, but it's also really compelling in its own right, because the medal system forces you to try new and ambitious things, and online leaderboards pit you against the best players from all over the world. Regardless of whether you're getting sucked into story mode or competing for high scores in challenge mode, Batman Arkham Asylum does an outstanding job of letting you be Batman. Everything about this game feels like it has been lovingly crafted by a development team that's both knowledgeable and passionate about the source material. Miss out on this one, and the joke's on you.